Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Sid with Ransyd Gaming, and I wanted to make a video today based on something I actually watched the other day. I watched some gameplay video between a Sabine ECL deck and a Boba Fett ECL deck. Both were really efficient decks, right? The Sabine deck was all about squeezing every last bit of damage into that base in the most efficient, quick, and cheap way possible, right? To rush to the win before the Boba deck could really establish itself. The Boba deck was all about efficiency with resources, trying to basically gain kind of a mid-range lock on the board before the normal timing of the mid-range, and Boba can kind of do that with his resource-based efficiency. So two really efficient decks, and both players were really scrutinizing every play, taking their time. You could tell the way the cursor was bouncing around the screen. They'd be thinking a lot. And the game came down to just a couple of points of damage to the base, and it got me thinking about an idea. I think normally when we're playing any card game, we're always thinking about efficiency. We want to make sure we're on curve. We want to make sure we're playing kind of a higher and higher ramp of character. We want to make sure we've got plenty of turn one plays. We want to make sure we're always doing something kind of consistently efficient, whether that's efficiently trading, efficiently playing out and using all of our resources, efficiently hitting the base for the amount we're investing in characters or in units. We want to be doing all those things all the time. But it occurred to me that that's hard to consistently do in limited. So I want to kind of make an argument, and this is really just a hypothesis at this time, but I want to make an argument for impact over efficiency when you're building a limited deck. So this is kind of another video in my short series here leading up to pre-release weekend. And to test the theory out, or to kind of give maybe an example, I went through and I opened up a bunch of packs until I found a set of 6 packs that I felt, and it only took a couple tries, that I felt really exemplified this idea of maybe choosing impact over efficiency. And let me tell you why I think impact might be more important in limited. Like, for example, let's take Sabine, or maybe not just Sabine, but say the archetype of a rush deck. To be a rush deck, to be that kind of aggressive deck, you have to have a lot of units that support that archetype. You have to have the events that support that archetype. And it's not really something you can consistently find in limited. Like, you might just have the perfect 6 packs, and you've got Leader Sabine, and you've got a couple of unit Sabines, and you found some K2SOs, and you got like 4 A-Wings, right? And maybe you got a bunch of I'm trying to think of other cards that fit really well. For some cause I believe in, and you got a ton of hero units, and somehow it works. But the problem is, a constructed aggressive deck is so good because it's very carefully constructed with a full play set to always have those efficient cards fall into your hand. You're just not going to get there in sealed. I was thinking about Leia also. Leia is such a tempting leader to play in sealed because her ability is strong if you get the rebels you need. But how many times have you opened 6 packs and gotten 16 to 18 rebels? Because I think that's what you want to have to make Leia really efficient, right? You want to be using her ability after turn 2 and forward. You want to be using her as soon as she hits the field. You want to find rebel assaults. You want to draw a rebel every single cleanup phase, right? Like, you need that consistent influx of rebels. And when's the last time you drew 16 rebels out of 6 packs? It hasn't happened to me yet. Maybe it's possible, but I don't think it's something you can count on. And it goes for pretty much anything you build. Efficiency, I don't think, should be the main goal. I think it should be impact. Now, some of you are saying, well, duh, right? Everyone knows you draft bombs, you draft removal, and those are obviously really impactful cards. But I want to look at maybe making some outside the box choices to create a really strong deck on a limited night. Because I think a lot of people, especially new players, will stack up their cards, right, into their like colors. They'll check those sizes of stacks. They'll check the cost of some of those cards, and they'll go, oh, if I pick this leader and this base, I've got 30 cards, I've got 15 units, I've got 5 or 6 space units, I've got 7 or 8 events and a couple of upgrades, and boom, I've got 30 cards, throw them together and go. But maybe it's kind of a bland deck. Maybe it doesn't have that kind of efficiency you'd hoped it would have because there's not a lot of impact there. You've built something with all the right numbers, but you're not really affecting the board state enough to consistently pull off wins. So this was a set of 6 packs I opened. Really actually cool mix of leaders. Sometimes when you do this digitally on Force Table, this is not a knock on Force Table. This is, I'm sure, going to happen at a pre-release to people. Like sometimes you'll get like 4 Jin Ursos, right? Or like 3 Leias. You're like, well, where's the variety? I thought this was a really, really cool mix though. A Grand Inquisitor, you don't often see that. Thrawn, I hardly ever see when I'm doing these. But there's also the Sabine, there's the Leia, there's Jin. Really, really good options here. And of course, we can always fall back on Vader and Luke. So looking at these cards, I thought, wow, I'm going to have a pretty good pool here. And as I scroll down, there are some really interesting cards. I really like some of these villain cards. I like some of these blue cards like Death Trooper, Del Meeko, Cell Block Guard. The Cargo Juggernauts are good late game. I like some of these Rebels. Fleet Lieutenants, I think, have a ton of value in Limited. There's the Fighters for Freedom, which are good enough, I think, in Limited, especially if you have enough other red cards, that consistent base ping can be really, really nice. Dodonna, of course, good with any Rebels that you can find. Green cards, not super exciting. You can see we've got a couple here. Nothing really up there. And just Vanguard Infantry is not worth playing. So right away I saw, okay, green doesn't look like it's going to work out. So Leia, maybe no. Unless we see other things that can go with Leia, but there's really not much. You can see I didn't get a super impactful group of units. But I did get some other cards which made me think I could play with hurting myself a little on efficiency, but trading that for big impact plays that I think can turn a board state. So a card that really stands out to me is Seventh Sister. I think Seventh Sister is great in Constructed, but is an absolute world beater in Limited. The fact that she's a Saboteur and can just hit that base at will, and then splash that 3 damage to a ground unit. She's got 6 HP. She is a Force unit. She's an Imperial unit. You can do a lot of good things with those keywords. But she is out of villainy. But then I look up here and I say, wow, I've got Grand Inquisitor. I've got IG-88. I've got Darth Vader. I've got tons of good, villainy, aggression, leader options. The problem is I didn't love these villain aggression cards, right? I basically got a First Legion Snowtrooper, a Seventh Sister, and that was it. I've got a few mono aggression cards and some decent villainy cards in the Probe Droid, the Lieutenant. I got the Cell Block Guard there, but then that would take me out of blue. I actually like the units out of blue better than I do out of villainy red. And then it just felt like maybe I was making one of those decks that makes sense when you first look at it, right? I could go Vader blue or Vader. Green didn't have a lot of options, so probably Vader blue, and I could probably throw together a decent deck. But it wouldn't be a deck that would have a ton of impact. I even got some decent events to work with Vader. What did I get? I got Force Choke, Force Throw, Open Fire. If we were also going blue, we could go Moment of Peace. Didn't really get any of those good blue removal events, though. That probably would have pushed me there. But I did notice a few things. I noticed I got 2 The Forces With Me's. 2 of those out of a Luke deck are really, really strong. You're going to see at least one. You just hold it till you've got 6 resources. You deploy Luke for free, of course, and then you play The Forces With Me, and Luke gets +2/+2, right? Basically forever, unless they've got attachment control, and until he leaves play, or until he goes back to his leader side. He gets a shield and gets to immediately attack. So there's a ton of efficiency built into this card, like efficiency and impact. I really like The Forces With Me. But if I'm going to play Luke, it takes me out of some other impactful cards that I think are really good. So I want to get some of those impactful cards in, and I have to look at my card pool and ask myself, well, what am I willing to pay that 2 aspect penalty on to get something good out of it. And I think, well, Seventh Sister, I want to play Seventh Sister. And Seventh Sister is good because now with Luke and Seventh Sister, if I go red, I can play Force Throw, right? I can play Open Fire, which are my only real removal events. I can even play Force Choke. This is the first card I want to look at as a kind of impact over efficiency. Yes, I'm playing Hero, so I'll have to pay 2 extra for Force Choke. But if I've got Luke, I've got Seventh Sister, and I think I saw one more, and I've got a Guardian of the Wills, not a super great card, but it is a Force user. I think 3 units gives me a good shot to play Force Choke for 1 less than its printed cost. So now I'm only really paying like a 1 resource penalty on it. I'll play 3 for a Force Choke. Like, that's a really good removal card, an impactful removal card, not super efficient. Cost 3, give the opponent a card. But if you need to get rid of a key unit, do it. Force Throw. I think Force Throw is a little bit underrated. At 1 cost, I can play Aggression, pay no penalty on it. And if I've got Luke, if I've got Seventh Sister, if I've got Guardian of the Wills out there, the flexibility of Force Throw, I really like it. If I've got a unit that I'm facing that I have to get rid of, I can use Force Throw on my own hand and ditch a card at the correct cost, and then it's kind of like grabbing something from my own pocket and throwing it at my opponent's unit to take them out. If I can also have an opponent that's at 1 or 2 cards in hand, which is often the case in Limited, you really play with tight hands in Limited. There's very little draw to be found, and almost no consistent draw to be found. I can discard that card from an opponent's hand. I don't really care what it was. I'm just looking for that free ping damage to go along with it. For 1 cost, I'll take 1 damage and discard a card from an opponent's hand. To me, that's worth a 1 cost event. The real kind of cream of the crop card here is I can play Keep Fighting with my Seventh Sister because she is only 3 power. So you can attack with Seventh Sister, go straight to base because she has Saboteur. They can't stop you. Hit the base for 3, hit a ground unit for 3, stand her, hit the base for 3, hit another ground unit for 3. Now, yeah, I have to pay 7 for Seventh Sister, but in a limited format, I'm paying that 7 for Seventh Sister even out of a Luke deck. So I've been talking about this Luke Seventh Sister aggression build that values impact over efficiency with key cards. So I'm going to show you that deck right now. Okay, so here it is. We've got 17 ground units, 5 space units. I like to get at least 6 space units, but I'm really happy with the space units I have. We got 2 Alliance X-Wings and a Wing Leader and a Green Squadron A-Wing. Those 4 cards right there made me feel pretty confident in taking Luke as a leader because I can shield up all 4 of those units. They're good cards to draw early and get the shield on and start doing some efficient damage on base. We don't have a ton of rebels to make good use out of General Dodonna, but our leader is a rebel, and we've got a few key rebels that really help us. The Spec Force soldiers, the fact that I got 2 of them really makes me feel good because Spec Force soldier out of Luke means he's hitting the table on turn 1. I'm getting a shield on him on turn 1, and I like that early protection, right? We have enough heroism units that we're probably going to trigger Luke 2 or 3 times before he comes out as a leader and he starts getting his better shield distribution ability. The kind of plan is to just work your way up to the 6 resources and get Luke. The hope is that you've got at least 1 Forces with Me in hand by that time. I think there's going to be no issue with that with 2 of these in a 30-card deck. Usually by the time you've got 6 resources, you've already seen more than half your deck. So I think the chances of having it are very, very strong. You can even mulligan because there's a lot of good early turn plays. You could mulligan to make sure you have that Forces with Me because then Luke hits the board, Forces with Me hits the board. He's suddenly a 2-2 attacking with a shield and giving a shield, and it's an impactful moment. Then you drop Seventh Sister on the very next turn for 7, and you are rolling. With Luke, you can hit the Seventh Sister with the shield. She can get more than 1 attack if you draw that. Keep fighting. The Force Choke, right? We're giving up some efficiency for impact. You get that reduction as long as you have Luke out or the Seventh Sister. Or if you draw it early and you get the Guardian of Wills, you can like force that play to gain a little bit of efficiency. I've even straight played it for 4, because sometimes paying 4 just to destroy a unit that you otherwise can't get to is really, really strong. Maybe you just need to knock a Sentinel out of the way to open the door for something much more impactful, then pay the 4 for Force Choke. Moment of Peace and Open Fire were just kind of fillers here. Open Fire, I think, is a great removal card. The Moment for Peace is mostly because I just needed a 30th card to go in there. There's definitely filler in this deck. I don't think you can make a limited deck without filler, but I like the idea of splashing in out-of-aspect cards in order to give you that impact. Oftentimes we see, like, this was definitely the most impactful unit that I saw when I opened the packs. And I think we automatically go, okay, well then I need to build with those 2 colors because this is my most impactful unit and I need to make that work. But sometimes it's better to go another direction and include that impactful unit and just say I'm willing to pay the extra 2 for it because it fits other things that my deck wants to do. And I think my deck is stronger paying the 2 for this impactful unit than having a weaker overall deck and not paying the 2. And I just think it's something that we can all look at when we're opening our packs. How do we maximize impact? Because it's hard to build impact into these decks. You can do it with removal, you can do it with bomb characters, but a lot of times you can include extra of those things if you're willing to pay a little bit more for them. And what I found when we're playing these limited decks is because they all kind of lack a little bit in efficiency, they don't generally rush very fast. You almost always get 6, 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 resources if you want them. A lot of times you're not going to play down 10 resources, but the game goes that long. Decks can get down to 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, sometimes even 0. And if you've got 2 decks that are kind of battling close like that, I think you're going to want to be the deck with the bigger impactful plays. So why don't we try a fresh pack of 6 cards. All right, so let's open some packs. First pack. We're looking for impactful cards. And we're not caring what aspect they are. Okay, Energy Conversion Lab. You don't have to play Energy Conversion Lab if you find it, but you should be playing Energy Conversion Lab if you find it. We get an Overwhelming Barrage, General Taggies, whatever. Academy Training's not bad. Consortium Star Viper's kind of filler, but it's not bad for what it does. I've seen Star Vipers coming in with the Conversion Lab and making it be a decent play. Rogue Squadron Skirmisher already has Ambush, so not doing much with the Conversion Lab, but I like that card. Would I pay 8 for it in a villainy deck? Probably not. It would depend on what I could really play at that 2 cost. Back to my hand. But sometimes 8 for an ambush card, that's at the edge. I think it's kind of an overcosted card anyways. Would have liked to see that at about 5. Maybe that's wishful thinking. Let's see what else we have. But that ECL probably needs to go in this deck. This Overwhelming Barrage probably needs to go in this deck. This is a perfect example, though, of impact over efficiency. If we end up having the cards to play like a hero green or a hero green or a villain non-green, I'm playing Overwhelming Barrage. If I can pay 7 for that, I'm probably paying 7 for that. So that's a perfect example where you fit that card in. You build a deck so you're paying 5 or 7 for it. We get another Krennic, Force Lightning. Wow, okay. This can be, and a Force Throw. So I want to play these cards. I really want to play these cards because I think that they are impactful. They're impactful on a board state, and I want to find a way to get them in. Vanquish is a really impactful card. Would I pay 7 for it? I mean, maybe. 7 for a Vanquish? Am I vanquishing a Star Destroyer? Am I vanquishing an AT-AT unit? Yeah, that's probably worth it then, right? Let's think about that. Maybe even including a cheeky, completely out of aspect Vanquish. If you need an event and you need a kind of a really impactful event, it could work. 2 really good Force events that I've read makes me think we might have to play like Vader green, Rook is a really good card. We get Blizzard Assault at a Super Laser Technician out of ECL. Rook out of ECL is really, really nice. You can kind of play with it, right? You can go Rook and have him take some damage on that initial attack, and he can get his assassination in, and then you can shield him afterwards, giving him some protection post, like the move. Or if you think that 6 health is enough, you can go in and have the shielded happen first and protect himself when he assassinates that unit. I think depending on the board state situation, I like the flexibility there in Rook. ATST, you can use the ECL on ATST to jump in there and overwhelm, get damage on like wipe out a unit and do damage to a base. We get a TIE Fighter, which is great out of Vader. We get a Cell Block Guard. First Legion Snow Trooper, also good out of Vader. It looks like a Vader ECL deck right now, but let's see if we can find some impact outside of those aspects to make it even better. Like, what if we saw a Dooku? Do we play a Dooku for 9? Do we play a Han Solo for 11? No, probably not. We don't play Han Solo for 11. If I had seen Han Solo, I'd be really tempted to go Han Solo for the aforementioned reasons. We get a second ATST, another Blizzard Assault at. Wow, lots of blue cards here. Good green in Consortium Viper. The Seasoned Short Troopers are not great, but they're cheap. They've got a villainy aspect, so good for Vader. I really like another ATST. We're going with the ECL. Han Solo is just not going to get played. 11. Would you play 11? No, you can't. You're never going to get to 11 resources. It's not going to happen. Not unlimited. That's too much. We get a second Han Solo. Okay, do we have to find a way to switch gears and play Han Solo? We might. That was our second Yoda also. We could do something like a Luke. Oof. We can't go Luke yellow because that takes Overwhelming Barrage completely out of it. This is actually probably a good example because we've got super impactful cards, multiple copies in the case of Han Solo, and we have to make a choice, a tough choice. Wow, 5 Jawa Scavengers. They just emptied the entire Sandcrawler. Too bad they're not good. It would be cool to get like 5 Stormtroopers or something. That would be really fun to get in like a Vader deck. So 2 Han Solos. We get no yellow leader at all. So we'd have to play something yellow to get that Han Solo in, right? It would have to be a Leia yellow or a Luke yellow. Probably a Luke yellow. Not that Han Solo has to be like a rebel. Let's just see what our rebel situation is if we were to do something either Luke or Leia with yellow. Well, we get the Echo-based Defender. If we go in Luke or Leia, we can't go Benthic. We get Lothal Insurgent. If we go yellow, we get the Squadron Skirmisher. We get Pathfinder no matter what if we're hero. We don't get the Spec Force Soldier. I think we just have... that's it. Yeah. So I want to play Han Solo, but I just don't think... I think we're paying too much to get him in here. Like, we're going to have a bad deck. And you can't have a bad deck just on behalf of Han Solo. 3 Asteroid Sanctuaries. Wow. 2 Shoot Firsts. Dang. Han Solo. You're kind of cool. Here's what I think we're going to do. Let's try and build this Vader ECL. Or do we go with IG ECL? Let's look what space looks like. Space, we get the Consortiums, the Disabling Fang, and 2 TIEs. I like 2 TIE Fighters. It usually gives you a good Vader play turn 1. The Inferno 4s are really good, but probably not so much better than the Consortium Vipers that we're like switching to blue, because green also gets us... Well, red keeps the Force Lightning and Force Throw in here, but green gets us Strike True. It gets us Overwhelming Barrage, which is huge impact. Do we play like a cheeky Emperor's Legion? It's such a bad card. Here's another one. Shoot First. Would you pay 3 for a Shoot First? I would argue that in Limited, you pay that. You pay 3 to get a +1 because you don't really care that much about the +1. You care about the ability that you're doing combat damage before the defender. Do you pay 3 for a no trade in what should be a trade situation? Yeah, I think you do pay 3 for that. So I think we're going to be able to play some cool cards here out of aspect, completely surprising our opponent, and choosing impact over efficiency. So let's do it. Let's build Vader ECL. I mean, that just sounds like a really good deck anyways. So let's go Vader. Let's go ECL. Yeah, let's look at the ground. AT-ST is so good. We have 2 Blizzard Assault AT-ATs. Man, lots of impact here. They're not getting the benefit of ECL. We didn't really get anything else to support them. Let's put like 1 in and keep going. We'll see. Cell Block Guard for sure. I think Lauren is good. We've got other green units. A little extra spot healing can go a long ways. Definitely First Legion Snow Trooper. Are we going to have enough troopers for Taggy to be worth it? Maybe. Ruck is definitely in there. The Short Trooper is in there. The Snow Trooper Lieutenant's in there. Steadfast Battalion's a trooper. Super Laser Tech for sure. I love the ECL Super Laser Tech move. Viper Probe Droid. There's another trooper if we really want it. We've got more units we can add. Let's get our 2 Taggies in there. I think we've got enough. Even if Tag drops 1, I mean, I'll take it. He's a 2/2/2 that can drop 1, and we can trigger Vader off of him, so I don't hate it. Let's see. Mercenary Company's another trooper. Let's do it. That's 15. And the golden rule is 15 and 6, so let's stop there. Space, we're going to get exactly 5. I wish we had something else that could go in space, but maybe we'll check. Let's check. Well, let's fill out our deck and then see how many spaces we have available. Maybe we even splash in out of space. Okay, Academy Training I like. I don't like the Hardpoint. I don't really like Infiltrator's skill. I mean, it can be really good if all you need to do is get to base. So let's keep it in mind. I don't hate it. It can really help if you don't have a lot of other Saboteur. We don't have a lot of Saboteurs, so it might be something we include. Events, this is where things get fun. We play Force Lightning. Why not? We play Vader. I mean, if we see it, we hold on to it a little bit. I love that. You can do a ton of damage with Force Lightning. Force Throw. Sometimes just taking away a Sentinel is worth it, and then you can push through. Force Throw for sure. Overwhelming Barrage, absolutely. We want our Strike True. Now, do we add anything else like a maximum firepower? We do have two AT-STs, 2 AT-ATs. I think we include a maximum firepower. That leaves us about 4 cards. That gives us a Saboteur. Prepare for Takeoff, Recruit. I don't like those cards. We're going to draw. It's a 30-card deck. Search is not really worth it, I don't think, for a card slot. Not when you're looking for impact. All right, now let's get cheeky and look at out of aspect things. 4 for an Asteroid Sanctuary. No, you're just taking too much of a hit there. But do I like Shoot First for 3? I do. I think this is a good card. In certain other aspect colors, it could cost 3. It's a yellow card for sure, but in other decks, like you wouldn't, if it was like 3 and it gets +2/+0 and shoots first, you'd probably be like, oh, that's playable. I'm gonna play 2 of them because I think it's such a fun surprise there. I also like the idea of putting a Vanquish in. I don't think in most games you're gonna play it, but sometimes your opponent just drops something. Like maybe they got a Devastator in their draft and they just boom drop the Devastator. If you don't have any way to deal with a Devastator, and very few decks in Limited will, unless they have something like a Vanquish, then you're done. Like a Devastator can just, you're toast. So having a Vanquish there, just in case, like as a panic button to hold on in the late game, if someone drops, a Palpatine or something. Yeah, they're going to come in for the 6 damage, but then you get rid of them right away and you move on, right? I think Vanquish is worth it for 7 in the right situation. Impact over efficiency. It's not an efficient play, but it is if it does take down something like a Devastator. Man, space, even out of aspect, the only thing we have here is Inferno 4. Do we pay 4 for an Inferno 4? You know what? I don't think we do. It's just, at only 2 power, it's not doing enough. I love its ability, but it's not doing enough. Do we pay 10 for an AT-AT suppressor? No, because we have 2 AT-ATs. We might just add the other Blizzard as our 30th card. Let's see if there's anything else out of aspect. Would you pay 5 for a Death Trooper in the right situation? I think probably not. It's just outside of like a card that's a big enough impact. 2 splash damage is not doing enough, especially when you got to do it to yourself too. And there's nothing here that really gains from having that damage on it, like another character, like a combo here. Guardian of the Wills, no chance. Do we pay 11? No, we don't do that. What else could we sneak in here maybe? 8 on the Skirmisher. No, probably not. We've already got that high end covered in our AT-STs and AT-AT. Let's see. Anything else? 3 for a Spec Force? Nah. Though, like, I do love his ability of taking away a Sentinel. Let's see. Yoda? No. 7 for a Yoda? No, I don't think so. I think we're just going to add in that last AT-AT just to give us impact. So there's our 30-card deck. We've sprinkled in 2 Shoot Firsts and a Vanquish. And I really, really like this deck. I think it's going to be good. The ECL gets us going like with a big bomb play. If it's a 6-cost character, great. I'd be super happy getting my most out of my Super Laser Technician with it. I'd be super happy if I drew Rook and had 5 resources to play it. That's going to be a really impactful Rook play for sure. I would like it with something like a Steadfast Battalion. If I do have a leader unit, it's popping out for 7 power. Ambushing and the Overwhelm, so you're going to probably hit the base for some of that. I think this is a really, really fun deck. Space is a little weak, but space is always a little weak, honestly, unless you just draw a bunch of good cards. And we did not draw the Star Destroyers that would have really kind of rounded out space. Even just 1 Star Destroyer would have been sweet, but we'll take it. I like having 8 events. I really like my events. Every single event here is impactful in a big way. They're going to shift the board state. They're going to remove units, and having 8 events that can all potentially remove units is really strong. I think that's really strong. So that's my deck. That's my impact over efficiency strategy that I'm going to be trying employing at our pre-release in only 3 days. We're like 72 hours from the time of filming. I am so excited. I can't wait. We'll see if we have time for one more video before pre-release weekend. But if not, I'll see you at the pre-release. Take it easy. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my video and staying all the way to the end. If you like what you see, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out, all right? Catch you in the next one.